All right, we are on to step number 5 in your party planning process. This is where you take all of those RSVPs you've just got and you turn them into teams. So in your party kit, you're gonna find a printable that looks like this. It is editable, so you can open it in Reader and plug in the team names and the attendees' names, or you can just print out a few copies and write it in. But you want to choose as many teams as you feel comfortable with. So generally, I recommend on your first party to go with a smaller number of teams. The more teams you have, the more clue supplies you have to buy, and the more you kind of have to set in motion. So it gets a little scarier if you have 8 or 10 teams on your first go round. So if I were you, I'd recommend on your first time to do 4, maybe 6 teams and have larger numbers. Even if they can't all travel together in the same car, it's better to have them in a bigger group. I've also found it's really nice because those that you invite, they'll look at the team roster, and if there's only 6 people and they don't recognize the other 2 couples, they might get a little nervous. So if they have a bigger team, their odds of knowing somebody or being comfortable are a little bit higher. So I recommend 4 to 6 teams when you start out. You'll notice on your printable though, there's room for 8. So if you're feeling ambitious or you've done this party before, you can have all the supplies for at least 8 different colored teams. You also need to assign a captain to each team. So once you've kind of got your teams laid out and they're relatively even, you want to assign a couple to be the captains, and their job will be to communicate with Wanda Witch throughout the race. Their job is also to manage the costumes. We don't do big costumes, but we usually like to have something that identifies you as a team. So let's say you're the green team, you might put on all camo and all of your team has camouflage everything. So the captains are in charge of making sure that happens. They're also in charge of making sure that all their teammates arrive on time and are following the rules. So pick somebody that's enthusiastic. I've usually found that the first few people to RSVP are the most enthusiastic by default, so they're good ones to pick up and use as captains, but you can kind of do any. So once you have your teams in place and your captains in place, you're going to create some captains instructions, and this is information you're going to give to your captains about all the things we just talked about. There is again a sample in the Wanda Witch Party Kit that lays it all out for you, and a cute little template where you can plug in the text and send it. You can either send it to them in an email, or you can do it in a clever way. So for example, one time we printed out the captain's instructions and I rolled it up like a scroll and put a spider ring on it and hung it on their door. And one time I put it onto their garage door. So if you want to get more creative, you can, and if you want to keep it simple, just shoot them an email so they know what's coming up. All right, we're moving on to step number 6 next.